Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Thank you for joining us here on this new episode of FYC Daily, the daily live streaming podcast of For Your Consideration. Thanks again for joining us. It is Thursday, February the 16th, I believe, 2012. Happy second day after Valentine's Day, everybody. I'm so glad you could join us. Joining me, first of all, as always, he has been co-hosting this thing with me so well. He's Mr. Matt Bernard. Matt, how you doing?
I'm good, buddy. How's it going?
It's going really good. I'm glad you could be here again. And also joining us today, a face that some of you will remember. He is one of the founding members, along with Denizen and myself, of the For Your Consideration podcast. And he's going to move around a lot, which is going to screw up his video feed. But Soul Video, John Green, ladies and gentlemen. Soul, how you doing, man?
I'm fantastic. I'm coming to you live from the wardrobe closet of the production I'm currently working on, and it's a thrill to be back.
And it is a thrill to have you, ladies and gentlemen. This is a pretty big day, actually, because there's some really cool stuff to talk about. For those of you who don't know how this thing works, we're going to throw it open, and we're going to have just a couple of topics that we're going to talk about, and I'll tell you right now what they are. We're going to talk a little bit about some Transformers stuff that's come up. We're also going to talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, oddly enough. But then after we're done that, we're just going to throw it open to you guys, and you guys will dictate what the rest of the show will be about. So you guys can just hop in the chat board. If you're not in the chat board right now, here's how you get there. Wherever you're watching this stream from, you can go to our Facebook page, which is at facebook.com/FYC podcast. That's facebook.com/FYC podcast. Click on the Ustream Live link in the sidebar, and that'll open a new window with the player in it, and you'll see a chat board underneath. Just click on the chat tab, and you can chat with us. And what we'd like you to do, you can even start now if you'd like, start putting in questions or topics you'd like us to cover. Matt's going to keep an eye on those. And then when we're done talking about the couple issues that we have in front of us, we're just going to spend the rest of the show letting you guys run it. We're going to just talk about whatever it is you guys want to talk about. With that being said, let's move on to item number one. We talked the other day about the fact that Michael Bay has been announced that he is indeed coming back to direct the next Transformers movie. There's a little bit of... Finally! There is a little bit of ambiguity, if you will, on what the nature of this next film will be. Producer Lorenzo de Bonaventura has said it's a reboot, and it's a whole new story. But he also hinted that some characters could come back, and maybe that means there's going to be some kind of continuity. I'm not really sure. But news came out today that actor Josh Duhamel, who of course is one of the lead human beings, the useless human beings in the Transformers movies, came out today, or maybe it was yesterday, and basically said he doesn't think any of the original cast are coming back whatsoever. He said, look, I haven't been contacted. I haven't heard word one. And as far as I know, nobody else has either. I don't think any of us are coming back, which does kind of
the first step when you're rebooting a Transformers franchise is to let Josh know what's going on.
Quick, someone phone Jamel. Get him on the blower.
Make sure they're not rebooting Las Vegas.
If Duhamel doesn't know, but it is at least interesting that no, because they're saying it's a 2013 release, which means they've got to start shooting within a year, which means you pretty much already would have to be in touch with the talent and the actors to make sure their schedules are clear.
Unless they're all just robots. Unless it's all robots.
Well, okay, that brings up an interesting point. I think the Josh Duhamel thing brings up two interesting points. Number one, I think it lends credence to the idea that the next Transformers film will indeed be a complete reboot. I think it'll be a complete reboot, and I think the fact of the matter that they haven't actually contacted any of the previous cast kind of supports that idea. But the other interesting thing that it brings up is this. If you are indeed going to do another Transformers movie, a lot of people would just like to see, I've seen this on chat boards everywhere, a lot of people would just love to see a Transformers that takes place on Cybertron and is just Autobots and Decepticons, no stupid human beings. And that sentiment has been echoed and repeated by a lot of people. I think everybody, even those of us who actually love one of the Transformers movies, like me, would say that, hey, it would be pretty cool if you had no human beings whatsoever and just had Transformers. But there is a big problem with that. And the big problem with that is, of course, that movie, a movie that is all CGI, that is, and these people are talking about a full, true CGI film, not an animated film per se. The problem with that is the film would cost $600 million to make, which no studio is going to put money into. And
they break even.
It could possibly break even. I'm pretty sure the studio's not gunning for breaking even. And the other problem, of course, is that that is a film that would take like 2.5 to 3 years to make. I mean, there's a reason that the cameras are not on Transformers so much when they're in the movie, because every second of Transformers is on screen. That's a lot of time. That is a lot of time to make that happen and make it a reality. But I'm with most of you guys. I think it's a good idea. I'd like to see an all CG Transformers film. But anyway, Matt, let's start with you. What do you think? Do you agree with me or disagree with me that the fact that Josh Duhamel and none of the other actors have been notified kind of gives more credence to the fact that it's going to be a reboot? And what do you think about the idea of an all CG versus at least some real footage and some humanity stuff?
Yeah. Well, it sure indicates that, right? Like, I mean, Josh Duhamel's sitting by the phone while they're already shooting, or what? You know what I mean? Like, so I would imagine he was pretty vital in the thing, right? He's one of the humans with the guns that runs around. So if he's not back, then I'm sure they're gonna get some other people.
Soul?
Yeah.
I don't see him being integral. Like, give anybody a gun, and and they're secondary to the characters. I like what Joro is saying, Transformer Muppets. I was going to suggest they go the route. Didn't the Wayans like CGI one of their faces on a baby? Like, what if we just put human faces on robots? We could also
they're like,
that cuts.
The Transformers reboot. Let's go after that little man audience.
Yeah, exactly. Or
that ever elusive Wayans Brothers little man audience.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you, I have one prediction for the Bay-helmed Transformers reboot, is that they will have boobs. All of the robots will have boobs.
Somehow, some way, there will be boobs. I kind of like the idea that it's. I mean, I said this in the show the other day, Matt. I think if you're going to do another Transformers movie, just reboot it. Just reboot the franchise and start again. I'd like to see a different director. Once again, I'm one of the guys who actually thinks Michael Bay was a good choice at first. And I thought the first Transformers movie was great. But just like Sam Raimi got empty, his gas tank ran empty doing Spider-Man, and he had to go. I think Michael Bay clearly has to go.
No,
but
let me ask you both a question then that's sort of about this. And I saw somebody talking about it in some comment thread somewhere, but I think it's an important question to answer. Do you guys see yourselves as the appropriate target demo for Transformers? Matt? As what you think it could be?
No. Well, that's what I see a lot of that stuff now. Is I go like, this just really isn't made for me, right? I mean, like it was like
they're trying to. Michael Bay absolutely is trying to make it for you.
Swing and a miss, then, right? This is for my nephew. This is like for 6-year-olds, right? To push more toys.
Well, I think that's an important question. You see the first trilogy, or however many God knows movies there have been. You see the first set of movies as appropriate as actual kids movies. No,
but that's who they caught on with.
They did,
right?
Yeah, they did.
See, in my mind, it's almost like it should have been a kids movie. You know what I mean? And it tried to be much wider and go after much older demos for either nostalgia or whatever, just in a higher bottom line. And it's almost like, boy, you wonder how awesome this thing could be if it was a kids movie, like an actual appropriate kids movie.
Yeah.
See, I think it's
transforming robots.
I know, but here's the thing: they have tried to walk this very questionable line of one foot being for those of us who grew up with the Transformers and are now the age that we are, and wanting to also be friendly to the kids. And I think it's possible to walk that line. I think the first film did a really good job of appealing to people like me. who wanted decent, really good action, some great visual effects, and a little bit harder edge than a kid's film, but at the same time being kid-friendly. And they did that with a lot of problems, but they did that. And number 2 and number 3 were just so ridiculously bad. I think it's possible to do it. I just think they have to make it kid-friendly and not target it at the kids. Because the people who are really going to go to it and drag their kids to it is me and you. We're the ones who grew up with these toys. We're the ones who have some nostalgia with it, you know?
Yeah, but
all three of us with 0 kids.
Yeah, to a degree though, John, you're discounting the movies that are made for kids. Like a shit ton of money is made for kids' movies, and parents who drag their kids to those Disney movies or whatever else, their Pixar or DreamWorks or what have you. So I'm just wondering, it's just a hypothetical, if it would be a much better series or franchise if it was under a different context, if it wasn't trying to be so goddamn like adult and sexual and badass. If it was trying to be an actual kids movie about fucking transforming robots from space. That's all I'm saying.
I don't think it would be as good. I don't think it would be as good because the parts.
Well, look at the cartoon. Did you like the cartoon?
Which cartoon? There are many versions. Movie. Oh, like the 1980s movie?
Yeah.
Well, it lost me after they killed off all the toys I grew up collecting. The movie, they did.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, the movie lost me after they killed off all of. It disenfranchised me. It alienated me once they killed off all of the toys I had collected, killed off all the characters I loved in the first 5 or 10 minutes. I'm glad you brought up Pixar. It's important to know about Pixar. Pixar makes a very clear distinction. Pixar does not make movies for kids. They make movies for adults that are kid-friendly. And that's the way they define it. And aside from Cars, I think they nail it because you look at the themes of like Finding Nemo and the themes of Up and the themes of even like WALL-E. These are adult themes, but they make it in a way that kids can understand it, relate to it, and embrace it, even if they don't get all the stuff that it's being referenced. I think with Transformers, I think it would be a much better movie. Look, Michael Bay did try to make it adult. Absolutely, with the boobs and the action and the carnage and all that kind of stuff. But he failed at making it good. I mean, so we don't want to confuse the fact that the problem with Transformers was that he tried to make it adult. The problem with Transformers was that he made it badly. At least the last two, I think. But, I mean, you raise a really valid point, and one that I'm sure they're going to be talking about and considering.
It is weird, though. Like it's like stuck in between where, like, it's borderline on straight-to-DVD Transformers Save Christmas, or it's, like, not cool enough for older people. You know what I mean?
Transformers.
By the way, Transformers Saves Christmas is out this March 14th.
Transformers Save Christmas. Don't forget to get your tickets now or buy your reservations now. Just want to remind you guys, jump on into the chat board. The chat board is going. We're talking about Transformers. Make sure you join us in there to chat it up with us. And man, I don't know. I just
hey, let's have a quick vote in the chat board. On a scale of 1 to 10, how awesome do you think the reboot of Transformers is going to be? 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. How awesome do you think the Transformers reboot franchise will be?
6 inclining, please. You know, I'm inclining Darren J. Seeley. Minus 10, 2, 1, 2. I tend to agree with inclining pizza and Darren on this. I'm thinking we're most likely looking at a 6 or a 5. I think we're probably going to be looking somewhere around there, but who knows? It all depends if Michael Bay has learned his lessons in this or not. But yeah, I mean, it's just, oh man, it's wacky. Okay, let's move on to this. I thought this one was really, really interesting. Word has come out that, speaking about Michael Bay, that Michael Bay's production company, I think it's called Silver Dune, is the name of the production company. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong about that, but I think it's
Silver Douchebag.
That they have been looking at, and for a couple of years now, have been trying to develop a live action Platinum Dune. Thank you, Darren J. Seeley. It is Platinum Dune, not
You're
Silver.
way off.
I'm way off. I'm two levels off.
Platinum Dune.
In World of Warcraft terminology, I was 2 levels off. But there's been talk. They've been wanting to get a live-action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles project going, which is intriguing. But here's the thing I've always said. A lot of people who are younger than me, when they think of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they do think of this image. The cartoony, cowabunga dude, let's have some pizza, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Now, one has to remember, this is not how they started. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles started as this. The first comics of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I remember being a teenager and picking up it's like my buddy having these comics before they were really popular and showing them to me, and they were all black and white. And these were dark, violent, graphic, again, I'll use the word dark again, dark comics. These were ninjas that killed fools. These guys killed people brutally. And you know, when you read the narrative and the dialogue in it as well, it's very dark. They speak and they narrate as really dark warriors that I draw my sword, the taste of blood calls, blah blah blah, all this kind of stuff, and they are slicing people up. It was extremely dark. Somewhere along the line, I can't remember who it was, but somebody else picked up the rights to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And instead of having these dark warriors, we ended up with this. We got these. Now, which it's hard to blame them because obviously through the 90s and the early 2000s, the brand...
It's hard to make Happy Meal toys out of the first one.
It is, yes. And they enjoyed tremendous success. They did. But Platinum Dunes is right now saying that they want to make a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles back to its dark, original, gritty roots, going back to the original intent of the cartoon, make it live action, which I don't know how the hell you do that. And they've gone so far as they've already got a script, apparently. Now, apparently the script was written...
They contacted Corey Feldman or Corey Haim or whatever one was in there?
No Feldmans,
Him
no
and Josh
Coreys.
Duhamel are waiting by the phone.
But apparently the script is written... And the script was written by the two guys who wrote the most recent Mission Impossible film, which everybody seems to like. And now they're in talks with the director, and it's the director of... I'm trying to remember, who was the director for it again? Not Mission Impossible. Crap, now I'm forgetting what he just directed.
Los Angeles? Darkness Falls? I don't know.
Damn it, I'm forgetting what he just directed. I had it on my sheet. Oh, thank you very much, guys, in the chat board. He just directed Battle Los Angeles. So you've got the writers of Ghost Protocol, the director of Battle Los Angeles, in talks with a Michael Bay production company for doing a live-action dark version of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
If you say Liam Neeson, I'm going to lose it.
Starring Liam Neeson as Master Shredder.
Yeah.
Soul, let's start with you. Your thoughts, opinions, insights, speculations about this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle thing.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Battle LA was a little bit of a letdown for me personally. So that side of things, at least from the production side, isn't that much of a selling point. But I feel a little bit like you did going into the first Transformers, because at the time you were like, look, this is the right set of ingredients for what I want out of a Transformers movie. You know, Michael Bay doesn't do great movies, but he can pull this off. So again, it's, you know, I'm very early out and we're only looking at a few possible pieces of the puzzle. But I mean, I feel like it could very easily go either way with this setup. I like you said, the people are competent, but that competent production staff does not always production make, as I can attest sitting in this wardrobe closet. Not to say anything about people I may or may not be working with, but so I don't know. Like I said, I feel like it could very easily be a flip of a coin. It's a dangerous property if you do it wrong,
Matt?
Because it's so and it's fucking mutant turtles. That's the same thing as robots from space.
Matt?
Listen, don't badmouth Mutant Turtles. No.
I'm not badmouthing them. I'm just saying it's a delicate property. You have to do it right because of how far-fetched it is, especially if you're doing it live action.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I watched the first one. I watch the first one like every month or so. Like I come across it and I go, "Oh man, this is really good." And I watch it and it holds up so well. Like, so if they do half the stuff they did in the first one, you know, I'm sure it'll be all right. You know what I mean?
Are you talking about the first live action one?
Yeah.
That's
it's
so
good.
bad. That was so awful.
Oh, are you kidding me? It's good.
That sucks so bad. No,
watch it. I'm telling you, watch it again.
You've
It's
got
good.
to completely abandon that mentality. You can't say that you're going to try to do this with, going back to the original comic book and then say, oh, we're going to do we're going to model it after the first
animatronic mouse.
Yeah, because
animatronic mouse.
Because
come on. I know not animatronic mouths. I'm not saying like let's go get a time machine and go straight back to there. I'm sure they've improved on stuff now, but the movie is good, man. I'm telling you.
Well, but it's
coming from
fine.
the cartoon, the movie's good.
For appreciating that movie though for what it was, which was the cheesy cowabunga dude pizza eating Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Sure, but it's time. You got to get away from those. It's time to get away from. Leave that movie for
agree.
what it is.
No.
It's time to get away from those.
Yeah, it's time because that's not what the original was. The original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the comics were not cowabunga, dude. That's not what they were. So if you're gonna try to go back to
well
the
then
roots,
they're gonna struggle then again. They're gonna struggle in again with like getting dudes in their late 20s, early 30s to go watch this. If they're not doing anything like that, it's not gonna happen.
I agree with what Gatter is saying. Let's hook up Andy Serkis and have him do all 4 of the turtles, and then I'll be on board. Get the Planet of the Apes, get Weta behind it, get Andy Serkis behind it, and then I'll be on board. You're not going to impress me with the director of Battle LLA. You're certainly not going to impress me with Michael Bay's production team. But it's a really cool property if you can do it right.
Mm-hmm.
I think, well, the key is if you can do it right. I was also one who was, let's say, not impressed or underwhelmed.
Although, can we talk
Battle Los
about how
Angeles?
non-intimidating the idea of the foot is? that's what you're gonna name your bad guys after, the foot.
The foot. For some reason, when you read the original comics, it seemed okay. But yes, in
The
hindsight,
fist maybe.
It was
the
a darker
fist.
foot though, right? It was a dark.
It was a dark foot.
it was the dark foot. It just doesn't seem to.
Yeah, that's right.
That doesn't seem to work for me. But I'm with you, Sol. I was underwhelmed with Battle Los Angeles. It could have been so much better. But with
The trailer for Battle LA floored me. The trailer for Battle LA with that song, oh my god, one of the coolest trailers I've seen in a long time. On par with like the Dragon Tattoo teaser trailer. But yeah, it was just anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think the tone of the film, which was really exemplified well in that trailer, the tone of Battle LA, I liked. I just didn't like the way they executed the film. But I think if you take that tone with that director, apply it to a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with the writers of Ghost Protocol, mark me down as one of the guys who's really into it. I love this news. I love the idea. I'm, granted, a little bit iffy on the fact that it's Platinum Dune as the production company behind it, but I love Ghost Protocol. I love the tone that they had for Battle Los Angeles, even though I was underwhelmed with the film as a whole. And I love the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, so I think this is 20 years in the making. I'm dying to see this. I'm really excited. I'm really excited. So, hey, tell you what, guys, we are just we're over the halfway point.
It is getting tired of like.
What's that?
No, I'm just. It is getting a little played out to be like, let's repurpose some old shit and make it darker. Like that's everybody's.
Yeah, but
like, oh,
okay,
boy.
I'm glad you
Let me
brought
guess
that
it's
up.
going to be
It
darker.
worked for Batman.
Wait a second. I'm glad you brought that up, but the difference.
Yeah, but it sure did work for Batman.
The difference,
Yeah.
though, is that this isn't taking something that is light and kiddie and making it darker. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are darker. It is how they started. This is
Look,
their origin.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying that if Leonardo gets the Batman voice, I'm gonna slit some throats.
That would be a bit much, wouldn't it?
That is not deepening your voice. Does not a darker movie make either.
No, completely agreed. Completely agreed. Hey, listen, guys, listen. We're well past the halfway point. So at this point, we are just going to throw open the show to you guys. You guys are now in control of the programming of this show. You tell us on the chat board what you want us to talk about.
Transformers? Ask us anything you want about Transformers. We'll talk about Transformers for the next half hour.
So yeah,
What do we think of Transformers? What our favorite Transformer is? What your favorite Transformer is? Let's talk. Literally anything you want to ask about in the Transformers universe.
particularly
There was a question.
yellow
Go ahead.
Autobots. Yellow Autobots. No, about anything at all.
Mr. Picture, I'm sorry, it's not Transformers related. We can't. Well, do we think Transformers has Transformers ever been nominated for any Oscars, like see special effects or anything?
Yeah, it has. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head if it won. It also was nominated. It's actually, I think all three were nominated in sound design. The sound design in the Transformer films are sick good. A lot, but it's always technical awards. But anyway, Matt, throw it over to you, dude. What do we have going on in the chat board?
There was a question yesterday. They were asked, like right as we were getting off, they asked you if there was a sequel that surpassed the original in any way.
Oh,
or
yeah.
in every way. I'm sorry, not every way.
One that really, two that really stand out to me as being clearly superior than their originals. One is Star Trek II. The Wrath of Khan over the original Star Trek. The first Star Trek movie was actually really quite bad. And then Wrath of Khan is all-time legendarily classic sci-fi. I mean, it's awesome. The other one is Rush Hour 2. The first Rush Hour sucked. The third Rush Hour sucked. But Rush Hour 2, for me, knocked it out of the park. I thought that movie was freaking hilarious. Some people will make the argument that Godfather 2 is better than the original, but once it's close. You got two films that both won Best Picture, so it's hard to say one is clearly better than the other.
What about Star Wars?
Empire Strikes... Well, once again, Empire Strikes Back is great. A lot of people consider it better, but it's... There's a lot of us who think that the first
Terminator
Star Wars is better than Empire. I think the first Star Wars is better than Empire Strikes Back. But I know there's a lot of people who think the other way, but they're close enough that you can't clearly say one was clearly better than the other, because there's just too many people that have a different opinion on that. What about you guys? Any other movies besides Ghostbusters that you can think about? Matt?
7 words. Seven words.
Okay, Soul.
Legally Blonde 2, Red, White, and Blonde. Reese Witherspoon, breathtaking.
Yeah.
Matt, what about you as far as sequels that you saw that you thought were better?
Box office. I just want to point out box office on that $124.9 million on a $40 million budget. People can't get enough Legally Blonde.
Yeah, the Dark Knight. I was gonna say Dark Knight and Terminator, the two that pop out in my brain. Those two would probably be. I would rather watch those 100 times more than I'd rather watch the original ones. I don't want to see the mountain climbing Batman.
Okay, what else do we got?
All right, here's a question.
Okay.
Here's a question. Lost Scree wants to know, who is worse, Jar Jar or the twin Transformers?
Wow. Okay.
I feel like you're going to say Jar Jar I don't know, actually, because I know how much you love Star Wars, that just hurts you more.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm actually...
In your mind, it's like, who would you rather be raped by?
I'm actually going to say the twins are worse, because whereas Jar Jar... I'm going to say Jar Jar's more annoying. The twins were...
Weren't the twins in the second one?
Yes, the twins were in Transformers 2.
Okay, so doesn't that give you doesn't that give a little bit of leeway there to the Transformers franchise? Because at least they waited a movie before they hit you with the twins. Didn't Jar Jar come at you right in the face right when you thought you were getting the prequels?
But the thing with the twins are not only they're annoying, they are borderline and in some cases outright offensive and racist. So with that being said,
is it Jar Jar? Misa loved to smoke marijuana.
I know. I thought no. You know what? I thought people. I honestly thought people just laid their own perceptions of stereotyping on Jar Jar and force fed it into that. You clearly
really.
Yeah, I do.
Misa.
I do. Yeah, I do. I really do.
What? The twins aren't as racist as like a white dude trying to be hip and cool. Like they say like the stuff that they think rappers say, like, "Hey, wouldn't this be funky fresh?" and stuff like that. But Jar Jar Binks was like,
but no, I didn't have a problem.
Racist.
Just them talking like they're from the quote unquote hood wasn't the offensive part. The offensive part to me was clearly making them out to be hip hop hood twins. And then layering on top of that,
Triple H,
making them ignorant, making them illiterate. Like, really, they're advanced scientific robots, but they openly say we can't read, and they're stupid, and they're dumb, and they're illiterate. So that, to me, like, pairing those two up, like, that's outright racist.
They said that in there?
Yeah, I can't read. And then
I saw the second one.
Yeah, I mean, it's outright racist. So at least, I mean, so I will say in a narrow victory, the twins were worse than Jar Jar Binks. Just it's that extra little racism in there that kind of pushed it over the edge for me. Anyway, what else we got in there?
All right, here's a question, and apologies because I think the chat board just went through, but Paramount is making a movie out of the Ultimate Dog Tease video. Are you guys familiar with this?
I don't even know what that is.
That's
so it's
the
a
video.
viral. Just go to YouTube and type in Ultimate Dog Tease. It's the one with 94 million views. It's the one with the German Shepherd is looking into the camera and they voice it. So it's like what. He's looking for treats or looking for food or something like. So it's basically a talking dog that the owner is just sort of dubbed very well. But it's a viral video on YouTube. It's got 94 million views and it's been passed around a lot. And apparently it's getting its own movie. Thoughts?
Well, I think I speak for everybody when that's a can't miss, right? I mean, that's a home run. Any minute and 28-second YouTube video, I want to see an hour of that, please.
Well, you say that, but isn't there like a Taco Bell Chihuahua detective, Beverly Hills Chihuahua? Haven't there been like 3 or 4 of those? So I mean,
yeah, right. Like, am I the only guy who thought that was based on the old Taco Bell things? Like
a Honey Badger movie. Dear God, Ann, is that Ann in the board, Miss Campea?
Oh, probably.
Does she watch from work?
John's mom.
Yeah,
no, it's John's mom.
That's possible. My mom does watch these stupid things, so.
That is the Honey Badger would be infinitely worse. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that video, but it's the most annoying song in the world.
I would rather see the Honey Badger guy.
Oh, actually, no, you're right. I'm thinking of a different Honey Badger video. I don't know how many Honey Badger videos there are. But...
I'm sure there's a ton.
Well, there's one with like a dancing animated one, and then there's one where the guy voices like, Honey Badger doesn't need this shit. Honey Badger.
Yeah, that's legit. I could watch an hour of the Honey Badger doesn't give a shit.
Keyboard Cat? Me, Jiro wants to see Keyboard Cat. I could see that too, but he needs the right setup. It just can't be him on his own.
Okay.
He needs lead-ins.
Hold on a second. For those of you, before I weigh in here, for those of you who are not sure what we're talking about when we're talking about the dog, here's what we're talking.
They did make a Fred movie.
Here's what we're talking about.
They made 2 Fred movies on Netflix.
Hold on a second.
Meat drawer.
You know what the meat drawer is, right? The technology.
Yeah. What was in there?
Well, I'll tell you what was
there
in
he
there.
is. There's the
know
dog.
That bacon that's like maple? It's got maple flavor.
The maple kind, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I took that out, and I thought,
Yeah.
I know who would like that. Me. So I ate it.
Oh no! You're kidding me.
Nope.
Okay, it's
Not kidding.
a funny little video.
John's in for sure.
No, trust me, I'm not in. The video is hilarious. It's a hilarious viral video. I love it. But look, they've already made this movie. It was called Cats and Dogs. It was called Babe. It was called Babe 2 Pigs in the City. It was called, I don't know, whatever. There's been like 10 talking animal movies. It's been done. You don't make...
Right, you're right. It's been done, but it's been successful. So why wouldn't they?
Okay, touche.
The only catch there is, are they going to get the same dog? Because isn't that what people love? Is that voice and that dog? If they don't have the same talent behind it, then I don't understand.
I love how you're referring to the dog as the talent.
He is. That's one talented son of a bitch.
Favorite
talking animal movie?
Babe.
And is such a
Dr. Dolittle?
He's trolling the chat now. Do I don't even have a favorite talking animal movie. What are you guys talking about? Dolittle? What?
There's great joke there.
Oh, we're losing Soul.
The joke here is picking out an actress you don't like very much and figuring out her star vehicle and then saying that. My favorite talking animal movie, Sex in the City 2.
Okay,
a lot of equestrian dialogue.
What else we got?
Yeah.
If Darren asks, if the Ghost Rider is from Darren Seeley, if the Ghost Rider film is successful, do you guys think Neville Dean and Taylor will return for a third?
Here's the thing about that. I don't know, and I'm saying this as a guy who I consider Neville Dean and Taylor both friends of mine. I don't know that they're going to be directing together ever again. It was just announced yesterday or a couple days ago that Brian Taylor, one half of the Neville Dean Taylor team, has been hired by Sony to write and direct a Twisted Metal movie based on the video game series. Without Mark Neveldine. This will be the first feature film that Brian does without Mark. So let's look at this. If this movie makes money, which I'm not convinced it will, I think there's too much negative baggage that comes along with it because of the failure of the first Ghost Rider, which had nothing to do with Neveldine and Taylor whatsoever. But there's so much negativity attached to that, and I talked about this the other day. I think it was a mistake for them to bring Nick Cage back, because if you reboot it, then people let go of the baggage of the first film. Because you bring Nick Cage back, even if you call it a reboot, they're associating it with the first film. And because of that, Sol, you weren't here for this, but we did an over-under. We said $35
But he
million.
didn't call it a reboot. He didn't call it a
called
reboot
it a requel
on our podcast.
Yeah, he called
Well,
it
that's
a
what I said.
requel.
That's what I said yesterday. Yeah.
So I mean, we'll see about that. And I should throw in there as a little plug, if you go to the AMC Facebook page tonight, I am doing a live chat with one of the directors of Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance, Brian Taylor, at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you go to the AMC Theaters Facebook page at 6 p.m. Pacific Time, I'm gonna have Brian Taylor on with me. He's gonna be taking questions live. So make sure you join us there for that if you guys are watching this right now. Shameless plug for my own stuff. But so the over-under number was this weekend 35 million.
Shameless plug from the guy sitting in front of an AMC poster.
Well, this
How dare you?
This is my
How dare
studio,
you, sir?
dude. This is where I work. Yeah. So the question is,
You almost act as if they paid for some of that equipment.
yeah, go figure.
Yeah. What? You should
What?
keep it real, like Soul, and do it from the closet. You fucking sell out.
Yeah.
What? Soul. The over/under number is 35 million.
Look at
Will
you with
Ghost
your
Rider?
professional lighting and cameras.
Oh, Mr. Important so and so.
Is Ghost Rider 2 going to make more or less than 35 million opening weekend?
It's a bummer for me to say because, and I like those guys too, and I worked on that project a great deal. What's its competition? The short answer is no, it's not. But
So
I don't know what
under.
it's going up against.
I think it's going up against The Secret World of Ariete, and
Haven't heard
This
anything.
means
Well,
war.
and This Means War.
Oh, this means
Undefeated.
war.
Thin ice.
I think
Yeah.
2021 is what I think.
I'm thinking you're right. And Matt, I think all of us went under. I think Matt, you
No,
went
I
under.
pushed.
Oh, that's right. You called for a push. You're calling between 34 and 36 million. That's right. I'm calling.
Well, because
for
at
the
first, my like out the chute, I was like, "Oh, over," and then I was thinking about it, like, "What am I talking about? It's gotta be. I gotta push."
Okay, what else we got on the shop board? We got time for a couple more.
Dear God, somebody, and I don't know what's wrong with inclining
Yeah,
pizza.
I
Maybe he
think
hasn't
you're
gotten a
right
lot
about
of
that.
action in a while, but he desperately wants to know which Transformer we think would perform the best sexually.
Next question.
I'm not even gonna answer the question.
Next question.
I can't even understand that. I mean, one of them did pee on John Turturro, so I guess
Yes,
they got
that's
the
true.
parts.
Bumblebee did pee. But that's about it.
Let's see. What do you think of the Independent Spirit Award nominees and Seth Rogen hosting after killing it at the Golden Globes with one joke?
It's funny. I was watching.
What was his joke at the Golden Globes?
He came out.
What are the
with,
Independent Spirit Awards?
Also, at the Golden Globes, Seth Rogen came out to present with Underworld girl,
Kate
Beckinsale. And she came out and he said, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and was completely unplanned. He said, hello, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Seth Rogen, and right now I have a raging hard-on.
That's right.
Which caught everybody off guard. It was very, very funny. Certainly funnier than anything Ricky Gervais did that night. God, he bombed. But I forgot. What was the question? What was it about? I completely
What do you
forgot.
think about Seth Rogen's
I guess
boner?
he's hosting the Independent Spirit Awards.
Independent Spirit Awards.
Yeah.
Okay, I generally don't care about the Independent Spirit Awards, and the reason I generally don't care is not because I'm at all
You're
suggesting
against independent movie making
No,
and spirit.
I am an independent
Both of
filmmaker.
those things hate you.
I am an independent filmmaker. I think me saying I don't care about them is not to suggest at all that I don't think they have great value. They do. The reason I don't care about them is because for 10 years, my blogging life has been about wide release films. And right now my job working with AMC Theaters is about wide release films, although we do have AMC Independent now, so we do run a lot of independent films. But because of that, my world kind of focuses around mainstream films that everybody has a chance to watch. And unfortunately, that's just not the case with a lot of these smaller independent films. And I mean that unfortunately, that's not the case with these smaller films. So I just don't have the time to run out and watch a lot of the films that'll be talked about at the Independent Spirit Awards, which is really unfortunate. So they're awesome. They just don't really have anything to do with me, and that's why I don't really care about them too much.
But yeah, but when you think like independent cred, you think Seth Rogen? He's going to be the host of the Indie Movie Awards?
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like didn't he do reasonably well recently with 50-50? Wasn't that kind of independent?
Yeah, but that brings up a great. Okay, you know what? Maybe this is another topic for another day. But that brings up a really, really great question. And this is something I've been talking about for a long time. We need to revisit the whole definition of what an independent film is. Because I'm sorry, when I think of an independent film, I think of aspiring filmmakers who have talent and great ideas for stories, max out their credit cards, get a film together. These days, every major studio has an independent branch, and you have $60 million budget independent films with A-list Hollywood directors and A-list Hollywood movie stars, and it costs $60 million to make and is completely indistinguishable from any other big prime Hollywood film, except it either wasn't made by Warner Brothers, Fox, Disney, or Universal. That is what they're now calling independent film. Even if it is still with Paramount, but just with their sub-company, Paramount Vantage, which is their independent arm. Still $60 or $70 million budget, still A-list Hollywood director, still A-list Hollywood cast, and they're putting that in the same category as the young, unknown, aspiring filmmaker maxing out his credit cards, and they're calling them both the same thing. I think there has to be a real re-examination of what people are talking about when they say independent film. Because I made an independent film, and 50-50 is an independent film. You're going to put those films in the same category and call them both independent
was
film?
Star Wars independent?
It was done under Fox, so I'm not really sure it could be you know what? Yeah, no, Star Wars was produced as an independent. Star Wars was produced as an independent and then distributed by Fox. So, I mean, yeah, technically all the Star Wars films are technically independent films. So you can't, that's a joke. There has to be a different definition for what we call independent, because, like I said,
it's how in debt personally is the filmmaker after releasing it. That is how you gauge if it's independent or not.
Yeah, like
if he's more than 10 grand in debt, more than 100 grand in debt, it is an independent movie.
Yeah, so I mean, if you fill your movies with big, recognizable A-list Hollywood superstars, and you have a big A-list Hollywood director, and it has the same budget as everything else, I'm sorry, I'm not going to call that an independent film. Just because the people signing the check wasn't Paramount Studios doesn't make your film, in the spirit of independent films, doesn't make your film an independent film. It's still a Hollywood film. So, I mean, in that sense, the whole idea of the Independent Spirit Awards, the Gotham Awards in New York, they've lost a lot of their meaning because they're populated by big, high-budget, Hollywood superstar films, just like any other film. So I don't see a distinction anymore. But anyway, I'm sure that's a thing we can visit another time. Let's take time. We got time for one more question, Matt. Pick one more good question that we can address right now.
Okay. Well, I got one from yesterday. They were asking about, we were talking about Edward Norton.
Yeah.
And I guess he's going to be in the new Wes Anderson film. And they want to know if you're generally a fan of Wes Anderson and if you have any favorite movies of his.
Wes Anderson.
And this is from, I picked this because I am a big fan, but go ahead.
Yeah, I mean.
Go ahead and shit on him. I didn't mean to stop you from shitting on him.
No, I mean, the thing about Wes Anderson is he can be, in one breath, he can be absolutely brilliant. And then in the other breath, he gets so caught up in his own, in himself and his own idiosyncrasies and his weird way of doing things. A film can kind of collapse on itself. Like, what's the proper name of the Darjeeling Limited? Yeah, I think that's a good example of a film that just got so wrapped up in its own stylistic approach and its own self-importance that it became. I felt like it kind of collapsed on itself. And
probably all of his movies are like that, though. I think you have to buy into that. You got to enjoy the style.
But I don't think they're all the same. I think they're all like that, but some know how far to go with it. before going over that line. And I think Wes Anderson in all his films comes very close to that line. With some of the films, he goes over it, and I think The Darjeeling Limited was one of those. And then you have others that stand the other side and come across as quite brilliant. So it's really with each one of his films, let's put it this way. When it comes to Wes Anderson, I'm really intrigued to see each one of his new movies, but I don't go in with a lot of expectation because I know it could go either way. That's just kind of my thought of it. But what about you? Clearly you're a fan, Matt. What is it about his films that you really like so much?
I don't know. I just like everything about his films. I like everything about it. It's like right where I want to be at. Like the characters are kind of silly. They're not realistic or nothing, but I enjoy them a lot. Like I like Life Aquatic is probably one of my favorite movies. So
Soul, what about you?
It is what it is.
Yeah.
That's some keen insight right there, folks, and analysis by Soul Video. Hey, you know what? Before we wrap it up here, Soul, I thought it'd be interesting. Tell us about, you are in a closet right now.
Yes.
A lot of people have been waiting for Soul Video to come out of the closet, but you're in a closet right now. Where are you? Tell everybody about where you are and what you're doing right now.
Well, I'm working on another independent production for a web series. As you guys are, and probably intimately familiar with, seeing as though you're in a chat room. Hang on, Ustream is yelling at me. Okay.
That's good. I'm still here.
As you're intimately familiar with the internet, people, Hulu is very successful at generating a large amount of money from advertising because they've got premium content. Google has been trying to play catch up just because, people don't make a lot of money off of YouTube and AdSense. It's sort of pennies on the dollar versus Hulu. Anyway, that being said, Google has this massive initiative now to generate premium content, which is why the YouTube homepage got sort of redesigned. Part of that massive initiative was the funding of 70 to 80 startup companies all over the place, a lot of them based in Southern California, one of which is ours. So we're actually working on a new, a pretty decent budget independent web series for YouTube, which will be debuting in March. It's called My Music Show. So if you go to youtube.com/mymusicshow, there's nothing there right now. We'll probably have a trailer up in about a month or so, but that's what we're working on. So I'm in the wardrobe. We're at our soundstage here in North Hollywood, in the San Fernando Valley. Yeah, things are going well. We're towards the end of our first block of production, and it's pretty wild. It's the premise is similar to The Office. It's sort of a mockumentary, but it's based on a fictional music network where all of the employees are stereotypes for the genres of music they like. So the place is run by indie. The head of production is called Metal. Scene is the receptionist. Idol is the pop girl. So it's pretty funny, and it's got it's good writers behind it, and it's being produced by Benny and Rafi Fine, who are also known as the Fine Bros on YouTube, who are pretty popular with their Kids React series and their spoiler videos and their new Teens React series. So anyway, that's it. I'm here on our soundstage in our wardrobe closet. We're almost wrapped on production, and the first episode will be coming out in late March. So check it out on YouTube, and I'll be spamming the FYC boards and our own Facebook pages when it does come out. So check it out. Someone
on the chat board is saying Soul actually makes a lot of sense when he's not being distracted by Roth. What about you, Matt? You seem to be on some kind of sound stage right now. What are you getting ready to work on right now?
Yeah, sound stage. I'm probably gonna get ready to do some dishes. I might sweep and mop the floor. Maybe put on some TV and dance by myself in my house. So look for that nowhere. And
look for that
going
nowhere
on every day until I stop. And there you go.
Hey folks, listen, thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, hey, listen to me right now as I pull up the close, the intimate shot here. Make sure you go right now to our Facebook page if you're not there already, facebook.com/FYC podcast. So that's facebook.com/FYC podcast, and like us. Like us so you can be aware of all the starting show times. And guys, don't forget tonight at 6 p.m. Pacific time. That's 9 o'clock East Coast time. I'm going to be doing a live chat with the director of the new Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance, Brian Taylor, over at the AMC Facebook page. So that's at facebook.com/AMC Theaters. Make sure you go there and watch and support us as we start this new initiative over there with AMC that I'm really excited about. As always, I want to thank Matt for being here. Matt, thanks so much.
No problem, buddy.
And it's so good having, in a couple of days, we've had Dennis Zen back on. Now we've got Soul. So are you going to be able to do these once in a while? So you slip into the wardrobe closet and do these once in a while with us?
Well, like I said, we're almost. The problem right now is that I've been in this, and as you know from your own productions, when you're in the shooting block, and you barely come up for air. So this has been my one day off this month that I was able to hop on this, and even today I'm fighting fires before and after this podcast. But by the end of February, we should be wrapped on this first block of production, which is the heavy window. So hopefully by the last week of February, my availability will be much more sane.
Awesome. Well, listen, thank both of you guys for being here, and thank you guys in the chat board for joining us and for all your questions. Don't forget, there is no show tomorrow. I'm going to be on a plane flying to Phoenix.
It's a Canadian holiday. It's a Canadian holiday.
It's a boot day.
It's a boot day. They don't get on planes. It's the one day they're Amish a year. They don't trust technology.
No, I got to go to Phoenix. I'm hanging out with the cast of, what's the name of that movie? John Carter of Mars. I'm going to go interview the cast of John Carter of Mars in Phoenix and go on a desert excursion of some sort that they're taking us on. So that should be fun. But we will be back Monday. Don't forget, tell everybody about this show. Download it. Share it. Once the YouTube video goes up, share it on your Facebook page and everything. Let people know. It would be awesome to have you here.
You can share YouTube video?
I will say this quickly. Mr. Picture is saying, will there be an Oscar show next Sunday? The answer to that question, unfortunately, is no. And the reason that the answer to that is no is because the Oscar Sunday is also my birthday. We are having people over on my birthday, 2 of which are on this show right now, who have not responded to my Facebook party invitation. You sons of bitches.
First of all, the first invite went out with neither a time nor a place. I just want to point that out. But if it is in fact next Sunday, I should be there.
Yes, it is. It is Sunday. So we're having a birthday / Oscar party, and then at 7 o'clock the next morning, my wife and I are leaving to go on a 8-day trip. We're going to go to Vegas for a few days, and we're going to go to Nashville for a few days, and then so there won't be any show that week either. The week after Oscars, there won't be any shows. But there will be. We'll be back this Monday, and we'll have shows all next week, just no Oscar show. Listen, guys, we got to tune it out here. We're almost at an hour. Again, thank you to Soul. Thank you to Matt. Thank you to all you guys who are on the chat board. We really appreciate that you're here. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. Guys, you're awesome. And until next time, bye-bye.